Baik, Media Khalsa, bagi for the ladies and welcome to another episode of Media Watch. I'm your host, Dr. Safi. Now this week we thought we'd find a kitchen. This is not my kitchen, but a kitchen, as most politicians seem to be finding kitchens to do their interviews in. I had an opportunity to catch up with some of the candidates who are out and about on the campaign trail. Literally with about 7 days to go, we thought we'd get them on the phone and show you some of their pictures and share with you some of their experiences, especially as they're from an ethnic background, and to see whether the world out there is fair in terms of the way in which they are approaching their campaigns, or in which the parties are providing them with opportunities. Let's listen to what they had to say and their views on what would happen if they did actually get into power.
Welcome, Chaz, to the show. Thanks so much for joining us. I know you're on a busy campaign trail, as they call it.
Exactly.
Now tell us about who you're representing in terms of hoping to go to Parliament for, and how it's going.
Okay. First and foremost, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh, to all your listeners and viewers. Yes, so I'm the parliamentary candidate for South West Devon, a constituency in Plymouth, and it's the first time I'll be standing as a parliamentary candidate, so I'm looking forward to all the experience that I'll be gaining, and hopefully, who knows, could even win the seat.
Well, you've got to be optimistic, haven't you? And on that note, I wanted to just ask you, it's very difficult to campaign, especially in this climate of possibly a majority or not majority. I don't know why that's being set as a kind of everyone seems to be preempted with that, but everyone has to hope for the best for whatever party comes in.
Yeah. I think the most important thing is for me, it's not optimistic. To me, it's about being or remaining in Chandigarh to say, actually, we never win. We never lose. But the fact that we're there, we are winning. 10 years ago, there was probably no one there. And now here we are, there's an abundance of people from different parties who are all standing for the first time, for the second time. Some even as an incumbent MP. So this is about equality of opportunity as well, isn't it, for individuals to be able to say
but is it really
part of the process?
I'd like to ask you that question. I know, I don't want to upset anyone, and I know you don't want to upset anyone either, but is it the case that a lot of the candidates or some of the candidates are in positions where it's difficult for them to win because it's not necessarily an established seat that has a strong footing? For example, if there happened to be a Labour stronghold in a particular constituency, do you think there is the possible risk that not you're thinking, but other people who are selectors may not want to put somebody who is from a slightly different background to the majority of people who are from that background in that location?
I think, see, what it is, when a person gets selected, it doesn't happen overnight. There's a procedure, and, there's a certain way of going about it. You also have to show, how much of an effective campaigner you are, how much effectively you are out and about within the community that you wish to represent. So you've got to have this kind of background CV to say, what makes you the best candidate in order for the party to choose you, and say that actually this guy or this lady is going to take the party forward and represent us in the House of Parliament. So I think that's the most important thing. I think a lot of people need to understand what the procedure is, and then start thinking, because we do go into that whole thing around, it's not winnable, or, you'll never do that. And I think, to me, that doesn't work for me. To me, it's about saying, we have to make sure that the process is the same for everybody and inclusive. So that,
but the thing is, though, in the United Kingdom, Sikhs and people from different backgrounds and other religions have been here for years, but it's now, we never see that many people. I mean, Parliament isn't truly reflective of the kind of,
I think it's also
that are out there,
Yeah, I think it's also
about. Club? Is it you've got to go to eat?
No. I think you imagine it's. Yeah, I think it's a bit like saying, it's like trying to tell your parents, 20 years ago you want to be a footballer. It's unheard of. Unless you're going into the medical trade, then talk to your parents. But when you do something out of the norm, I mean, and I can honestly say that, I'm not a career politician. My background is retail. I didn't go to university. I haven't got a law degree, and what have you. So Parliament needs to reflect the people and society around us. And if it means it has a catchment of people from all over the place and all sorts of backgrounds, then there is an opportunity for the likes of me and anyone who might be better than me, anybody who could be worse than me. But there is a process, and it is about how we connect this generation stroke the next generation in that political minefield. You have to be involved in this process. It doesn't happen overnight. You know, you've got to, select a party, reflect your values, reflect their values. If they match, then fair enough, you go that extra mile, you get involved, and you take part in the whole process, really.
I think you're right to say that it's a bit of a minefield, not only in terms of selection, but also the path of actually steering clear and not succeeding at the end. But if you don't succeed, you can learn from that and go forward. But I would say
it's a huge learning curve.
How many more years do we have to learn before we do see a Sikh MP or somebody in question time that's really kind of reflecting the views of those around? Let me ask you a slightly different question while we've got you. Do you think that people, say, for example, if you're a Sikh and you get to be in Parliament, do you think that gives you an opportunity to find out, kind of uncover some of the truths? Especially, I know recently we've seen the situation with 1984 and the possible dialogue that took place between the UK and India. But to fight for more kind of human rights across the board, not necessarily India, but because it's in our blood, you know.
Yeah, I think that's always going to be a hot potato for people and passionate people and supporters of anything related to human rights. And I think it's we've seen there's been a wide range of atrocities. There's been a wide range of genocides that slowly the world is waking up to. When we talk about genocide, we normally think about the Holocaust. We talk about Rwanda, we talk about Chechnya, we talk about Bosnia, and maybe in that same group of places, it's very rare that we've mentioned what happened in India back in '84. And I've always said this, when we have Holocaust Memorial Day, it is a massive opportunity for Sikhs up and down the country to sort of like say, can we have a space to be able to explain what happened in India and explain our genocide, And until we then, because we're good at educating ourselves and say, this is what happened, this is what happened, how good are we explaining and educating and raising awareness to others, which is the most important thing.
One more question before you go. Again, thanks for your time. I know you're in between driving for many hours to get to London, and then after that you're going to be driving back on the same day. Tell us some of the things that you've been doing over the last literally 3 weeks, because there's only a week to go, isn't there?
Yeah. I mean, we're in the last 7 days of campaigning. I've come up to London to see family, and it's kind of like an emotional reunion in terms of meeting them today, and it's kind of taken a bit of a toll. It's taken its toll on me. But in terms of campaigning, you have to then stop and then say, right, family, bang, which I've done today. But in the next 7 days, what's left? It's about knocking on doors, getting firm commitments from people, hearing from people that they can't afford to see another 5 years of the Tories in government, and seeing generally the support and momentum that's gathering for Labour to come back into power. And let's see what happens on May the 7th, B the 8th, the morning after, because it's going to be a long night for families, supporters, and also candidates themselves who will either become councillors or members of Parliament and wake up to a new career the following day. So,
let's just hope that all this talk about coalition or not coalition gets properly sorted out, because at this moment of time, it seems to be very unclear about whether or not deals will or will not be done. And I think it's a bit dangerous for people to suggest that whatever the outcome is going to be, because the people will ultimately decide, won't they?
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's the people have got the power. You can't win the lottery if you haven't bought the ticket. You can't vote for, you can't vote and say this person's no good or that person's no good if you haven't voted. So I would urge all your viewers and listeners to say, make sure you have a vote, you're entitled to vote, use your democratic right, and make sure you go out and vote. Polling stations are open from 7 a.m. in the morning and 10 p.m. at night. Go out and do it and make sure you vote. Be part of the process.
Fantastic. Well, you got to be in it to win it, and we hope you win your seat. And we wish you all the best. And thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
And have a safe trip back. And another 7 days of hard labour. Get what I mean?
Hard labour, yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My Khalsa,
Fantastic. So, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Tell us about your campaign at the moment. How's it going? And I know, you are the candidate for Grays. Is that right?
No, I'm the Labour's MP candidate for Gravesham in Kent. We're just southeast of London, and I think it's going to be a very interesting battle this time. So do look out for it on election night. It's a very, very tight race. And let's see which way the voters decide.
Is it tight because of obviously last time round? I mean, is it a Tory stronghold?
Well, Gravesham is the classic bellwether seat. It's always gone with the coming government of the day on every occasion since the seat was formed, bar once. So, except on one occasion, it's always chosen the MP for the party which goes on to form the next government. So that's why, at the moment we've got a Conservative MP, but in 2011 a Labour council was elected. And also in 2013 we had the Kent County Council elections here, during which 4 out of the 5 seats for Kent County Council were actually won by Labour. So, we're very hopeful, and a lot of hard work has been put in for the last 2 years since I was selected as Labour's parliamentary candidate. We shall see which way the voters decide.
Well, we wish you all the best. I'm looking forward to seeing you on Question Time. And what I wanted to ask you quickly was, I know we see Russell Brand, he proves himself as a person that should not be voting. Although you could argue, how do you exercise your vote unless you are in the race itself? Do you think Miliband, he went round the other day and spent some time with them, was that an opportunity to outreach to that particular demographic? Was it a good idea to use different forms of media to reach out and get a better view of what the policies are and get more in contact with people? Because a lot of people accuse politicians of being distant, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, Dr. Savi, it's a very important point, because I know what David Cameron said, that Russell Brand's a joke, and therefore Ed Miliband's a joke for having gone there. But I think that is completely the wrong way to look at it. And if we look at the analysis post the Ed Miliband Russell Brand interview, first of all, let's go on to the analysis in a bit. But in terms of what Ed Miliband did, I think that was thinking outside of the box. He's actually trying to engage with voters, and is very, as the likes of myself will know, from knocking on the doorstep, one of the hardest things to do is to try to encourage non-voters to vote. But it's a conversation that we need to have, whether that's on the doorstep or whether that's actually, going to, be interviewed by Russell Brand. And
are they disenfranchised because they're not seeing opportunities? I mean, people talk about more and more apprenticeships and all the rest of it. But if they can't even get a place to live, I mean, we're talking about different demographics now. You've got young people who can't find houses. You've got young people who can't find jobs, even if they've got degrees. I mean, do they get disenfranchised? Maybe they have the right to vote, but they just don't want to, because they think too many of the parties are all the same. There's no areas where they see a clear advantage from one party to another.
Yeah, I mean, I know we have enchanted and therefore, in effect, disenfranchised voters, but the Labour Party has done a great deal to try to show to the young people that, look, we are on your side. Whether that's to do with the student tuition fees, to reduce them from 9,000 to 6,000 as a firm pledge, also to increase the annual student grant from 3,400 to 3,800, whether that's to try to encourage more people onto the housing ladder, whereby Labour have said that for any first-time buyers, we will reduce any first-time buyers purchasing a property up to £300,000, there will be no stamp duty. So that could, in effect, save somebody £5,000. Those sort of policies which are geared more towards hard-working people and, in particular, young people. And as you rightly said, that at the moment, less than 50% of, in particular, 18 to 25-year-olds, vote. Now, the only way that we can actually have more policies catered towards young people is if they're actually voting in larger numbers, because I think that will make other parties, not just the Labour Party, it will make them sit up and listen and listen to their concerns and therefore change policies. I think it's something that I'm proud of. The Labour Party, that they've actually taken those policies, regardless of the fact whether the young people actually vote in not as great numbers, but they still try to look out for their interests.
So let me ask you a slightly different question. One of the things I'm really interested in is, and I think we've had a conversation about this before, which is, do you think people who come from different backgrounds, like for ourselves, I mean, I know my father's been here for many years in the 50s, but even still, we don't seem to see a reflection of who the kind of people that we are in Parliament or represented, even in generally in the media, in terms of TV programs or whatever. But I just find it really interesting that a lot of people that have been chosen for particular seats are not in safe seats. They're in difficult seats. Is the best way that I can more politically put it. They have to struggle and work harder to actually get into Parliament because they're not given seats that are ones that will actually be successful.
I take on board your point, Dr. Savi. I think obviously you're trying to refer to the point that with regards to yourself, being a turban Sikh, and that having a more representative Parliament, the fact that there's never been a turban Sikh in Parliament, and obviously the lack of Sikhs generally. I think at present there's only one Sikh in the House of Commons. And generally,
I think the House of Lords, we've got Inderjeet Singh, and then we've got a new gentleman called Suri Singh, isn't there?
So, I mean, obviously, that's two within the House of Lords, but I think, as everybody knows, elected representatives is important to have that representation, within the House of Commons. And I think, as you mentioned, within other main spheres, that's whether that's within the media, whether it's in the higher echelons of industry, and in civil service, we need obviously greater representation, from all communities, and there needs to be more women. The traditionally underrepresented sections of society. Now, with regards to our own particular stance, the reason why I'm a member of the Labour Party is for that very reason, is that at least we've taken positive steps. The Labour Party's got more ethnic minority MPs than all of the other parties put together. It has got more women MPs than all of the other parties put together. So a lot has been achieved, but a lot more still needs to be done. And you're right to say that not many of the candidates, whether they're seat candidates, that they're not in safe seats, and therefore the likes of myself, we do have to work hard, and there's no two ways about it. I mean, I'll be
talking about working hard. What have you been doing over the last week? I know it's a rundown to the last 7 days. I did ask also Chaz as well, who's also been running around as well.
Right.
Tell us, what have you got left to do over the next 7 days? Are you going to do get on the coaching, trying to go to as many places as you can? I know, and I do appreciate your time today. Thanks so much.
No, my pleasure. I mean, I've been following Chaz's campaign via Facebook and Twitter as well, and it's very pleasing, to see, him doing what he's doing in the Southwest. Likewise, with myself, if somebody did want to follow the campaign, they can do that, on Facebook and Twitter, at Tan for MP. So that's TAN digit for MP, and you can see that what I've been doing over the last 2 years. Basically, a lot of hard work, a lot of door knocking, lots of attending functions, a lot of listening to residents' concerns, a lot of casework, so people with housing issues, whether it's dealing with the homeless, whether it's dealing with other day-to-day issues that are affecting people So that's what's involved. You've got to give a lot of your time, but if you're not community orientated, if you haven't got that passion, for serving the community, for trying to help others, then this is not something for you. But
and I think one of the things that's really great is that you follow through the message of Sikhi as well, which is to do seva and to do seva in public life as an MP. So that's a wonderful thing.
Definitely, I think Dr. said that's very important, because different people serve the community in different ways. Certain individuals, they do seva at the Gurdwara, others do that in the charities, others volunteer their times, to coach children, whether they're playing football or basketball or karate or whatever. There are different ways of helping the community.
Well, maybe we need to do more on that original idea, which was the big society, but maybe do it in a slightly different way in terms of putting some money behind it.
I think setting aside David Cameron's notion of big society, I think if you look at Sikhi, big society has been running for the last 500 years plus. And if you look at just generally, the volunteering and other things that are going on in the community, it's been there. It's just a way of constantly trying to energize that to ensure that more and more of us are involved in seva, are looking out not just for ourselves, but also the wider community.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. I mean, you've given us loads of time. I really appreciate it. We wish you continuing success. If you don't make it, then I'm sure you'll try again. If you do make it, I look forward to an invitation to interview you in Cambridge. Make sure I'm on the top of the list there.
Thank you very much, Dr. Savi.
I think it's a good opportunity to say thanks to all the teams who support you as well. Really appreciate it very much indeed for you spending your time, and hopefully everything will work out well for you next week.
Thank you very much. A lot of hard work has gone in by a lot of individuals. We've got a strong team of council candidates as well. We've got other members and volunteers who've been helping out over the last 2 years. So, a great deal of thanks to them, and thank you, to yourself and the Sikh channel for allowing me this opportunity to discuss the issues with you. And hopefully, I've answered your questions to your satisfaction.
Well. Okay. Well, we wish you all the best in the future, and thanks so much. And get back on that campaign bus. Thank you very much. Okay,
Thanks. Well, we hope you enjoyed those interviews, and we wish those candidates all the best in the future. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Media Watch Show. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.